I'm right back up at you cats with another video. And y'all already know who it is, and you already know what it is. What's good, my people? How y'all feeling? Did y'all miss me yesterday? I know I wasn't on here yesterday because you guys know it is my telecommute day, and it is the day that I work from home. So I'm right back up at y'all with another one. You know, we're gonna keep the integrity of the show going, where we speak about that 10%. We speak about the health. I'm gonna go through these two things real fast. We're gonna speak about the health. We also are going to speak about work. And then after that, we speak about random topics. And the two random topics I'm going to speak about today, we're gonna speak about that systems talk. We're gonna speak about the individuals in the system. A little cheat code that I feel people need to speak about. Then I added another part, man, where we're gonna be breaking down things that I do, like reading. Sometimes I read. I'll speak about a book that I read. I'll speak about a movie that I saw. And today we're gonna speak about one of the best albums that I know in the hip hop world, and that is Goodie Mob's Soul Food. We're definitely gonna get into that, you know? We got one person on the check-in. When you come in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if this is something that you're into. And what type of talk is this, man? I'm just a regular brother on his way to work every single day, speaking about things that go on in the community and also things that affect them every single day. If you can relate to these types of things, drop a comment. Let me know where you're coming from. Let me know your name. You dig? So we talk about that 10%, and not much has changed. I've been taking all my shots. Like always, my pancreatitis has been doing a lot better. My stomach isn't burning like it once was. I think I lowered it down to those energy drinks, man. Whenever I have those energy drinks, I think my stomach starts to really feel the burn. And that pancreatitis burn, like I always tell y'all, it's no joke, my people, no joke. Feels like you swallow a whole bunch of razors or those pins. You know, those sharp pins from back in the day that they used to use when they put fabric together? Those type of, the sewing pins, the those type of pins, man. Things like that. That's most definitely how it feels. Next, that's been doing good. So we're going to switch to the work thing. And I think I mentioned to you guys on Monday where I come in from week to week. If there isn't something that is ongoing, then I don't know what's going to hit me. And one of the people, they hit me up. They told me that, again, we're working on those complaints that I told you about. And I already categorized them before, but now we're going deeper into it. And we're trying to bring down the complaints. Before, it was safety complaints. Now it's just overall complaints. So before I just broke down the safety complaints, now I'm going back to the database to break down all the complaints and seeing exactly what we can do with them. Now, I told y'all we was going to speak about the individuals, and this is an ongoing series. The first two times I spoke about, what's up? We got somebody on the check-in. Mother, what'd that say? Damn, I cannot read, man. Mo HD for Dessa, whatever, man. Said hi. What's up? What's going on? I'm sorry if I messed up your name. What's going on? Thanks for checking in, man. Thanks for checking in. You know, I can't read and walk at the same time. Something's seriously wrong with me. I can't read and walk at the same time. You know, I'm coming from New York because I know everybody asks me where I'm from. I'm coming from New York, Long Island. This is Freeport, Long Island. The weather today is much, much, much warmer. It's 30 degrees today. And that's from 7 degrees on Monday, man. And it felt like 1 on Monday. 7 degrees and it felt like 1. But now it's about 30 degrees and it's good walking weather, man. Nice and crisp out here, I should say. Another person on the check-in, they said, hi, what's going on? Somebody said, greetings from Winnipeg. Greetings from Winnipeg. What's up? Straight from Winnipeg. Yes, sir. From Winnipeg to New York. What's going on? Yes, sir. So, all right, I might lose a little bit of people here when I start talking about that systems talk, because I did the first two videos, we were speaking about systems and how systems affect individuals and how systems affect the outcome. Then I did 2 videos on that. Then the last video I did was speaking about the individual within the system. And I told you guys that individuals often learn from their parents. Individuals often learn from their parents. And I also said that ultimately, as an adult, you have to take full responsibilities for your action. Full responsibilities for your action. And that means that the world isn't equal for everyone. Everyone isn't created equal in this world, man. Some people are going to be born with parents in different situations. And I use myself as an example. So I could look at, let's say if I had a child when I was 22 years old. When I was 22 years old, I had a different mind frame. Somebody else on the check-in said, hi, Alvin Bear. Alvin Bear said, hi. What's up, Alvin Bear? What's going on? Yeah. So let's say I had a child when I was 22 years old. That child would be completely different than if I had them now at 45. I'm much more stable in my life. I make a lot more money than I made at 22. I had a lot more personal experiences than I had at 22. And in all actuality, as a male, adult males' brains start to like relax and become normalized when you're around 30. So if I'd had a child at that time, my child would most definitely have different types of situations that they would have to deal with than they would have to deal with now that I'm 45 years old and I'm much more mature. I've had a lot more life experiences and I'd be able to show my child a lot more. So the point I'm making is that everybody isn't created equal. Everybody doesn't have the same advantages in life. And unfortunately, this is the truth. And with that being said, again, you reach a point in your life where you realize that you have to take full responsibility for your outcome. Full responsibilities for your outcome. Now, I'm going to tell you what my parents told me. And this is what ultimately made me realize who I am, what I represent, and what made me want more. Because again, the system can be messed up for people. Somebody said, I'm a broke RN. I'm a broke RN. You're a broke RN, registered nurse. Somebody said, oh, this is another preachy channel. Already gave my thanks down, my thumbs down on the video. Peace out. Much hate from Canada. All right, much hate from Canada. Good. Preachy video. So yeah, we're going to get into that. And I'm going to tell you exactly what my parents told me, man. They told me. They said, B, you're a black man in America. They said, life isn't going to be the same for you. You're going to have to work harder than everyone else in order to get the same recognition. So I kind of felt that, man. I kind of felt that. And that's what I ultimately carry. Because I look at it like this, man. There were ancestors that I had that didn't know me, right? They went out as individuals to change the system for people that they would never, ever, ever know. You feel me? That they would never, ever, ever know. And I carry that with me, Neil deGrasse Tyson and a lot of scientists will tell you that you're standing on the shoulders of giants, right? And I take that. And they had it way worse than me. But at the same time, these brothers strided and they wouldn't take no for an answer. So I look at that for myself and I say, damn, if they did this for me and I never even knew these people, then I owe it to my ancestors to try to do better and strive to do better and not blame a system that basically is easier for me than it was for them. So if they was able to do it, then I really had no excuses. And my mother and father always told me that, B, you're not just fighting for you. You're fighting for your kids. You're fighting for your last name. You're just gonna represent, a whole group of people, and you gotta be an example. And that's the way I looked at my whole life, man, as just being an example and trying my hardest, So what I'm basically saying is this, man. You got to take responsibility for all your actions, man. You got to take responsibility for all your actions. So in conclusion to my systems and individual talk, what I'm saying is this, man. Life ain't fair. It's going to be harder for some people out there, but you can't use that for an excuse. You have to realize that you have control over your future. You are your own God, meaning you create your own reality, right? And you gotta want more for yourself. You gotta want more for yourself. And as a individual in the community who I feel I can be a role model to people, I owe it back to the community to go back and be that role model and speak positivity into the community. Show a young kid who grew up like me from Hempstead, who lived in the projects, who come from these type of environments, who, they don't have it like me, to be that role model for that person, to be the person to step up and speak for that person and try to clear some of these obstacles that they're gonna have to go through. And that's how I carry myself. And I hope that, people that's coming up like me, kids, can look at that and ultimately use me as an example of, you can be cool and you can survive in the system, and you got to be persistent. But that's all I got. I tell people, I always tell people, again, I don't like to sound too preachy. I told you guys that before, and homie from Canada was right. I guess, you can come on somebody's channel, and if this is the first time you hear them speak, you could make generalizations like that, and you may miss a lot by doing that, you know what I mean? So, like I said earlier, we're gonna move on, and we're gonna speak about one of the most transformative hip-hop albums. Somebody, well, damn, look at me, I'm about to fall. Look, come on, son, this is just laziness, man. It snowed 2 weeks ago, right? It snowed 2 weeks ago, son. Ain't nobody come out here and shovel nothing. Look at this. And almost bust my ass. Let's go into the check-in. Somebody said Syrian Barwa. Somebody said, what did they unite? What did who unite? Syrian Barria. Somebody said Sophia. Somebody said unite. Somebody said 67.67. I don't know what that means. Somebody said, somebody call the cops. Somebody said, you shovel it up. Nah, I ain't shoveling up somebody else's stuff. I did enough shoveling. I ain't shoveling nobody else stuff up, man. Plus, I got to catch the train. Somebody said, call the cops. Why y'all want to call the cops on me, man? What I done did? I'm not a suspect. They said, call the cops on me. Damn. Y'all doing me like that, kid? Somebody said, unite. And I feel, yes, we do unite, And I was just looking at the whole arc, right? So when you come up, well, I ain't even gonna talk about that. So yeah, let's get into that Goodie Mob album. Anybody over here listen to hip hop? Anybody know about Goodie Mob's first album called Soul Food? Y'all know about that? Anybody know about that album? I guess not. But that album dropped in 1995. And y'all know I'm from New York, like I said earlier. And New York has had a stronghold on hip hop. New York, also the West Coast, had a strong hold on hip hop. Around that era, around like 94 and 95, if y'all remember, the 95 Hip Hop Source Awards, the South got disrespected. They really got disrespected, Outkast was booed. I remember growing up in New York where I'm listening to people like Outkast. I used to listen to Scarface. I used to listen to plenty of people from down south. And in New York, you wasn't getting no play if that's what you was listening to. We were so disrespectful. That's when New York developed that mentality of not giving anybody else respect. If you wasn't from New York and from the 5 boroughs, people were straight up disrespecting. You was getting called all type of Bamas, and especially in hip hop, they didn't respect anybody for being lyricists. And at the 95 Source Awards, that came to a halt where you had Outkast again, who got an award and they got booed. And plenty of people from the South took that personal, man. They really took it personal because they were striving. They were trying to make a name for themselves. And New York and Atlanta, we got a complex history. New York and Atlanta has a complex history where a lot of them don't like us because New Yorkers go out there and they talk crazy. Then they soon realize that Atlanta ain't no joke. They got some serious people out there, and they also got their own culture that they most definitely take, seriously. And Big Gip always talk about this, man, and he plays right into this because he's down with the Goodie Mob. And I was representing with these cats, but not too many people was really rocking with Goodie Mob, yo, and it was crazy. So I think Southern Playalistic came out, Outkast's first album. It made good marks. I think that album got close to 5 mics, man, in the source. But Goodie Mob came out. The first time I heard them was on Cell Therapy, where they had that, who's that peeking in my window? Bow, nobody now. So that first song I heard from them, I was like, yo, these cats is nice. I love the beat. I love the message that they was speaking about, because they were speaking conscious rap. And coming from the line of KRS-One and artists like that, that was right up my alley. And their beats were crazy just off of that first song. Then I heard Soul Food that they had. Come and get your soul food. That album, that song was crazy. So their first 2 singles, I was really, really, really liking from Goodie Mob. And I'm like, damn, when this album drop, I'm most definitely getting it. Now, you got to go back to a time where this is before the internet. So you had to go to the record store and get these albums, man. Go to the record store and get these albums. And this was back when they used to print the lyrics on the books, on the book cover. Y'all remember that? They used to print the lyrics on the book cover. And I used to always just read that type of stuff. Look at the pictures with the album art. And Goodie Mob had great art on their first album cover. So I listened to it, man. And they were basically laying down the foundation of Southern hip hop. So you had the Dungeon Family, who they were producing beats. And I mean, from the first track all the way to the last track, every single beat on that joint was banging, my people. Every single beat was banging. They set it off with the gospel and CeeLo. He was singing, it's so hard to live in this life of constant struggle each and every day. And, you know, coming from the South, my family is from the South. And it was just soulful, man. It came out soulful. So they caught me on the first track. I'm like, all right, I can rock with this. And then the next song that came out, they had my boy Andre 3000 on it from Outkast, and he went off on his solo part. He said, as an outcast, I was warned. He said, as an outcast, I was born, wasn't warmed of the harm that would come to meet me like met life, but my life done took me through a lot of ups and downs like it ain't nothing, like elevators, but I ain't the one that's pushing the buttons. Like, when I heard that, man, I'm like, yo, these cats got lyrics. These cats got beats. They got everything that you would need. They're a full, complete group. And, I just loved them. From that point on, somebody on the check-in said, what drugs you take currently and which were you addicted to in the past and which did you sell? Somebody said, what drugs am I on? What drugs am I addicted to? And what drugs am I on in the past, man? I spoke about that before, but let me get through with this Southern rap, and then I'll tell y'all about that before I hop on this train, man, So yeah, that album was definitely one of my top 10 hip hop classics right there. It laid a foundation for the South and Atlanta, and it also